Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Hatha practice. A few props that will be handy for today are just having a couple hard blocks, and you can set them up at either end of the mat. And I would also suggest having a soft block or a blanket, anything you can use for padding or a little extra support. When you're ready, we'll get started in child's pose today, so you can come to a tabletop position to set up. And if for any reason being on your knees like this doesn't work for you, feel free to come to easy pose, or you can lie on the back to begin. For child's pose, find a distance between the knees that feels good for today. And again, you can add some more padding. Hips towards the heels, forehead dips towards the floor. I'm going to bring the soft block in to pad. And arms can stay extended forward. You can also bend the elbows. Find whatever feels comfortable. And then give the hips a little rock side to side. Let them settle in. Maybe a rock for the forehead as well. As you feel ready to, finding your stillness here. Noticing the flow of breath in and out of the body. Notice the effect that the breath has on the body. And before we start to move, see if you'd benefit from a little more time in this shape, and you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, as you feel ready to, you might walk the hands a little closer, lifting yourself back up to a tabletop position. And from here, we'll lower down onto the belly. And so bringing yourself down, and then extend your arms out in front of you. And we'll bend the elbows and bring the thumbs towards the top of the head, at the back of the neck. And chin or forehead can be resting on the floor. See what feels best for the neck. And if this feels like plenty, you can stay right here. Otherwise, think about walking the elbows a little further forward, maybe a little closer together. And you can also bend the knees here. Notice, especially if you're bending the knees, if the front side of the pelvis wants to lift up off the floor, and see if you can keep that space nice and heavy. And breathe into whatever stretch you're feeling through the front body. When you feel ready to release, re-extend the legs, release the arms, and then bring the hands roughly underneath the shoulders. And take the hands a little wider apart. You can be on fingertips or with palms flat. With an inhale breath, lift the heart space up, strange cobra, and then dip the left shoulder, twisting towards the right. Inhale through center and over to the second side. And 2 more each side with your breath. Now finally inhale through center and lower the chest down. You can keep the right hand as it is. We'll extend the left arm out towards the left. And setting up for a chest stretch, you can start to press the right fingertips down, open the chest towards the right, any amount. And then see what this feels like in your body. If there's any pinching going on in that left shoulder, you can back out. You can bend the left elbow if that's better. If this feels like plenty, you can stay. Maybe that right leg is stacking on top of the left. You can also step it to the floor behind you or in front. You could also hover it if that feels good. And if the head is kind of floating uncomfortably here, then maybe you're sliding a prop in to support it. And right fingertips can stay down, or if everything's secure through that left shoulder, you could think about floating that right arm behind you as well. And maybe closing down the eyes here, breathing into whatever you're feeling. If the right hand is lifted, bring that down first, and then slowly dip the chest back down to the floor. And setting up for the second side, so this time right arm extends, left fingertips to the floor, and then start to press in through the left hand, opening the chest towards the left. This side may feel completely different, so don't worry if you end up somewhere different. Listen to that right shoulder, and again, make sure it feels like a pain-free expression. You might be floating the left leg, you might be stepping it, see what feels best for this side. And then again, if everything feels secure through the right side, think about maybe floating the left arm behind you. And the left fingertips can return to the floor if they're lifted, and bring the chest back down. And then see what feels good here for a couple of breaths. Maybe moving the shoulders a little bit, maybe swaying the hips. And when you feel ready, we'll bring the hands under the shoulders, press up to a tabletop position. And then maybe walk the hands forward a little bit, spread the fingers nice and wide, and grip the finger pads to the floor to support the wrists. And then tuck the toes, lift the knees, and we'll press the hips up and back to downward facing dog. It'll probably feel good here to shake out the hips a little bit, maybe to pedal the heels, and check in with the back line of the legs. But make sure that the shoulders are also staying active here, so hands stay active as well. Looking for a heavy feeling through the spine. Maybe shake the head, yes and no, a few times to release the neck. Awesome. From your downward facing dog, take your inhale breath and shift forward to plank pose. And with your exhale, shift back to downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward to plank. And back to your down dog. A few more times. And final one like this. Inhale breath, come forward. Exhale breath, lower all the way down. Untuck cobra pose, inhale. And then lower. And tabletop with your inhale. And then downward facing dog as you exhale. And together, a deep inhale through the nose and a deep sigh out the mouth. Again, like that, inhale. Final one. Now inhale, bend the knees and look forward. And as you exhale, you can step, walk, or hop and find a forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. And sigh. And again, in. And out. Last one. Now strong belly, flat back, come all the way up, circle the arms up. And if you come up and you feel a little lightheaded, you're welcome to come maybe to a halfway lift point for a few more breaths. You can also stay lifted, keep the arms up. And whenever you're ready, come and find your mountain pose. So whatever distance between the feet feels the most steadying for you. Chest proud, shoulders soft. Find that length from the heels to the crown of the head as you press the feet into the floor. And take a few deep breaths here. Check in with the body and with the breath. All right, when you feel ready to move again, you can flutter open the eyes, wiggle the fingers and the toes. We're going to set up for chair pose, so I'm going to keep my feet hip distance apart. If bringing the feet together feels more steady or more comfortable in your body, then go for that. And from here, inhale breath, circle the arms up, and then bring the hands to prayer at the heart. And press the feet down, lift the heart space up. And as you exhale, bend the knees and find your version of chair. Mindful that the knees stay comfortable. You can always be higher up in a chair. Mindful that the low back is supported. If it's in a back bend, find a slight hug through the low belly. And then we'll set up for a twist here. So with an inhale breath, puff the chest up. As you exhale, twist towards the left. You can stay high like this. You could open the arms if you like. Or if you like, hook that right elbow to the outside of the left knee. And then create some stability there. So press the knee into the elbow. As you press the palms together, maybe you can find a little more room across the chest. And then notice if one foot feels a lot heavier than the other, maybe you can balance that out a little bit. Breathe here. Whether you're low in your chair or high up, the next time you inhale, unravel back to center. And as you exhale, pour over, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, step the left foot all the way to the back of the mat. You might take your stance a tiny bit wider here, give yourself more room. And then find your block with the left hand, bring it underneath the left shoulder. Now press down through that side, press down through the feet, and with an inhale breath, reach that right arm up towards the ceiling. Now notice if the hip shifted as you found your twist and see if you can keep them nice and level. Breathe here, keep the feet strong, keep the chest lifted. Awesome. Stay in your twist. If the gaze is lifted, bring it down towards the floor. We're going to transition to triangle here. So maybe with one breath, take a deep inhale. As you exhale, we'll switch the right hand to the block, flip the left heel to the floor, and then start to press that front leg towards straight. As you extend the spine forward, reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. Don't worry too much about the positioning of the feet, but if something feels funky and you need to adjust, then please do. And keep the spine nice and long. Keep the shoulders broad here and breathe. And bring the strength into your legs and tone the belly. With an inhale breath, come all the way up. And then as you exhale, you can flip the left toes out a little bit, start to bend into the left knee, and we'll come and find a side lunge, side squat. And see what this feels like in your body. You can stay in more of a halfway lift position. You could bring the left elbow to the left thigh. Otherwise, if you're coming in, don't worry if that left heel needs to lift up. You can support it if you like. And then see what feels good here. You can stay in center. Option to find some twists if you like. Option to shift the hips a little bit. Option to play with balance by floating the hands. Find your breath wherever you are. Awesome. If the hands are lifted, bring them down, and then crawl yourself into a lunge facing the front of the room, and step forward to a forward fold. Now see what feels good here. You can stay in your forward fold, any expression. Maybe you want to take hands to elbows, or you can interlace hands behind the skull. Stillness or movement. If for any reason forward fold isn't working for you right now, feel free to come to a squat. You can hop back and flow if that's part of your practice. As you feel ready to, take an inhale breath, find your halfway lift. As you exhale, sigh it out, fold. Inhale, lift, lengthen, and let it go. Last one. And with a flat back, inhale, come all the way up, circle the arms up. Take a moment to let your blood settle here. Whenever you feel ready, come and find your mountain pose. And check back in with the body, with the breath. And choose stillness for as long as it serves you. And when you're ready, flutter open the eyes, wiggle the fingers and the toes. Setting your chair stance, inhale breath, circle the arms up, and hands to prayer at the heart. Inhale breath, puff the chest, and bend the knees, chair pose. See what you need here. If you need to make any adjustments, then go for it. And then set up for the twist. Inhale, lengthen the spine. As you exhale, twist right, stay high or low. And if you're twisting low, then create that resistance, pressing the right knee into the left elbow. And then breathe here. Breathe space for the chest. Notice your feet. Notice where the weight is. If the tendency is for all the weight to be going into that right foot, see if you can press the left foot a little more firmly. See if that helps balance things out. The last few breaths here. Awesome. Stay in your chair, but take an inhale, unravel to center. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And step the right foot all the way to the back of the mat. You can widen your stance a little bit as needed. Find your block with the right hand, bring it underneath the right shoulder. And then press down there. Inhale, breath, unravel the left arm up towards the ceiling for a twist. Now notice what's happening with the left hip. If it's lifting up, see if you can keep it nice and low. And see if you can energetically continue to encourage that left hip back in space, keeping the right foot really active to help with this. And breathe here. right, preparing for triangle, take a deep inhale. As you exhale, bring the left hand to your block, spin the right heel to the floor. Inhale, extend the left leg towards straight, lengthen the spine, reach the right arm towards the ceiling, and then check in here. If there's anything that you need to adjust, if something feels a little funky in the body, then go for it. Otherwise, breathe into your triangle. Always the option to close down the eyes. Last few breaths here. Keep the hands reaching apart. Keep that length from the tailbone to the crown. And press the feet down really firmly with an inhale breath. Come all the way up. And then spin the right foot out slightly. Start to bend the right knee. Left leg stays extended for your side lunge, Skandasana. So fingertips down. Maybe the heel lifts up. And see what version of the shape you like. You can mirror whatever you did on the first side. If you're with me, challenging the balance, then go for it. Maybe lift the hands up. Awesome. If the hands are lifted, you can bring them down. If you have your other block near the back of the mat, you can bring it with you as you crawl forward, framing the front foot and then step forward, forward fold. And taking about 6 to 8 breaths, be wherever you need to be. You can stay in your forward fold, you can come to squat, you could go straight to standing or maybe down dog or child's pose. And stillness or movement, listen to the body. If you're in your fold, take an inhale breath, halfway lift, lengthen, and sigh it out. And again, inhale, and exhale. One more. Inhale, halfway lift, and plant the palms and step to a tabletop position, hands and knees. Knees roughly underneath the shoulders, hands roughly underneath the shoulders, and knees roughly underneath the hips. And from your tabletop position, we'll extend the left leg straight back in space, and you can take a peek back to make sure that the hips stay relatively even. You can have the foot flex or toes pointed. You can work with just the leg or reach the right arm, opposite arm towards the front. Now take a deep inhale. As you exhale, knee towards the elbow. And then inhale, reach. And exhale. A few more. Last one. Now inhale, stretch long, and then pause here. So one option is to stay exactly here. The second option is to bend the back knee and then reach the right hand around to catch that left foot. From here, keep the left hand pressing actively to the floor. Keep the pubic bone hugging towards the belly button. And you might start to kick the foot into the hand a little bit, finding a little more stretch for the front body. But the shoulders are mostly pointing towards the floor. And breathe here. Awesome. Gently release the foot if it's lifted. Bring the right hand down, the left knee down. Give the hips a little rock side to side. Maybe you want to give the left wrist a little shake out, a little movement, maybe a little movement for the spine. It might look like cat-cow or something else. Take about 5 breaths. All right, and then when you're ready, we'll sit up for the second side. So take a moment to make sure that the hands are securely under the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. And then this time we'll extend the right leg straight behind, check in with the hips, keep them level as best you can. Left arm towards the front. Deep inhale and knee to elbow. 4 more. Last few, nice and slow. Inhale, breath, stretch long, and pause. Either stay here or bend the right knee and then reach for it with the left hand. Before you go anywhere, press the right hand to the floor actively, find that hug for the belly, and then maybe start to kick the right foot into the left hand any amount. And breathe. And soften the face or the jaw if they're clenching. All right, if you're holding the foot, release it, and then find any release that you need. Take about 6 breaths, all the same options. Shake out the wrists, maybe the spine, the hips want movement. And if you want to come to stillness, then choose that instead. All right, when you feel ready to move on and come to your tabletop position. From your tabletop, we'll take an inhale, lift the left arm up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, thread the left arm underneath the right and settling that left shoulder and maybe the left side of the head to the floor. Notice if the hips are trying to sway towards the right and see if you can keep them firmly planted in center. Take a few deep breaths. If you want to adjust your expression, then go for it. I'm going to bring my right hand to press down the left. And you can bring your right hand back if you lifted it away. With an inhale breath, unravel, find a counter stretch, reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. And stay here for the exhale. One more inhale, lengthen, and bring the left hand to the floor. Now inhale, lift the left leg up behind you, and we'll step it forward between the hands. Now you can stay exactly here. You can work from fingertips. I'm going to bring blocks for each hand, and I'm going to lift the back knee up off the floor. Now inhale, breath. Let the hips lower a little. Let the chest lift, gaze lift. Exhale, breaths, hips back, front leg extends. Maybe the foot curls up. Inhale, breath, rebend the knee, open the front body. And exhale, breath, re-extend, lengthen the back body. A few more here. The next time you inhale to your lunge, pause. Hop the back foot in close enough that you can bring the heel towards the floor. Right foot mostly pointing forward. If you need to turn it out a little bit, go for it. And then from here, I'm going to go to a higher setting for the props and then press the left leg towards straight. So a version of pyramid pose, bring a hand to the low back and make sure it feels mostly flat. If it's slanted to one side, then see if you can press the feet in a way to make that a little more even. You're in that halfway lift shape, so length from the tailbone to the crown, the feet pressing down to the floor actively. Stay exactly here or bring the left thumb to the left hip crease. And then inhale, lengthen the spine. As you exhale, twist the chest open towards the left any amount. This may feel like plenty. You could bring the left hand to the low back and just check in that the pelvis feels even side to side. You can also reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. Take 5 deep breaths. When you're ready, stay for one last inhale. As you exhale, bring the left hand to the floor and step the right foot forward. And just take a few breaths in a fold, sway it out. If anything needs a release, then go for it now. Awesome. When you feel ready, take your halfway lift and sigh. 2 more. Last one. Now inhale, halfway lift, and plant the palms tabletop. Knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. Inhale, breath, reach the right arm up towards the ceiling, and then thread the right arm through. Lower the right shoulder, the right side of the head down. And check in with the low back. See that you can keep the hips in center, especially if they're swaying towards the left. And then the option, if everything is secure, to bring the left palm to press down the right. And if the left hand is somewhere other than the floor, bring it back. Embrace, and with an inhale, unravel the right arm towards the ceiling, counter twist. Stay here for full inhale, full exhale. One last inhale, and bring the right hand to the floor. Now inhale, lift the right leg behind you, and step the right foot forward between the hands. I'll tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, fingertips or props. Inhale, breath, let the pelvis dip, lift the gaze. Exhale, hips back. And then flow your lunge to pyramid variation with your breath, your pace. That range of motion that feels good in your body. And the next time you come to lunge, pause. We'll hop the back foot close enough that the heel can plant down. And toes forward or a little bit out. If you need to widen your base, go for it. And then from here, start to extend the front leg towards straight. Find your halfway lift in pyramid. Press the feet really actively down. Find a rebound here. Find the length for the spine. You can stay right here, or right thumb to the right hip crease and manually press the hip back. And take an inhale here, lengthen. As you exhale, twist open towards the right. Let's see what this side feels like. Again, maybe a hand to the pelvis to balance out the hips. Maybe that right arm is going up towards the ceiling. Legs stay active. Take 5 deep breaths. Final inhale wherever you are. As you exhale, bring the hand down and step forward and let it all out. And shake out the arms, sway the spine, be wherever you need to be for the next couple breaths. And then to center, when you're ready, take your inhale, halfway lift. This time, flutter the lips. And again, inhale. Last one. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Strong belly, flat back. Inhale, come all the way up, reach up. Stay right here. Whenever you're ready, come and find your mountain pose. Settle into your shape, maybe close down the eyes, and take a few breaths in stillness. Check in with the body, with the breath. Only when you feel ready to, you can flutter open the eyes, wiggle the fingers and the toes. We're going to set up for a balance pose. So if you'd rather be near a wall for this, then go for it. So start off by lifting and spreading the toes out, lower them 1 by 1, 2 by 2, just with a little distance in between. We'll start off by grounding the left foot down and bending the right knee back. And now reach behind you with the left hand, so opposite hand, and catch hold of the foot. This might feel like a good place to stay. Keep the pelvis even side to side. You can even hug the heel to the bum, getting a little more quad stretch. And you can do same arm and leg if you're just staying here and you're looking for the quad stretch. Otherwise, if you're coming with me, we're going to find a back bend here. So to start off, because we're using opposite arm and leg, there might be a tendency for the hips to want to open out to the side. So you're going to just do your best to keep the hips level side to side, mostly pointing forward or down towards the floor. And likewise with the shoulders, the right shoulder will want to move back. So maybe the right hand is to the chest, or maybe the right arm is reaching forward. And you'll stay mostly upright, at least to begin with. From here, tone the belly, start to kick the foot into the hand any amount. And then resist that urge to open up towards the right as best you can. And breathe into whatever stretch you're feeling here. Notice if the face is tensing or the jaw. Last couple of deep breaths. And then when you're ready with an inhale, come on up. We'll cross the right leg in front of the left. Left hand to the left hip, and then hips over to the right. Find a stretch for that whole right hand side. Awesome. Inhale, come on up. Legs can stay the same, but right hip to right hand to hip, left arm to the ceiling, and arc over opposite side. And stretch out that whole left hand side. And then when you're ready, inhale, come on up. Uncross the legs. If anything needs a little shake out, go for it. And then before we set up the second side, come back to mountain pose and close down the eyes and just check in here. right, and when you're ready, you can flutter the eyes, wiggle fingers and toes, and take a moment to really grip the feet into the floor, and then lifting and spreading the right toes, lowering them with a little distance, and transferring the weight to the right, bending the left knee behind you, and reaching back with the right hand to catch it. And then this side may feel a little bit different. So start off here, hips level, maybe the hug of the heel to the bum with either hand, and you can stay with the quad stretch. Or if you're coming a little deeper, then see what you want to do with the left hand, maybe chest or reach it forward. And mindful of the shoulders, mindful of the hips, and take an inhale breath. As you exhale, start to kick the left foot into the right hand any amount. And then resist the urge to open up towards the left. Keep that left hip pointing down and forward. Keep breathing here. Last couple breaths. All right, inhale, breath, release, come on up, and cross left foot in front of right. Oops. In front of right. Right hand to the right hip. Inhale, reach the left arm up, and arc over towards the left. Or towards the right. You can do that better. Step the left foot across the right. Right hand to the right hip. Inhale, reach the left arm up, and arc over towards the right. And keeping the legs the same, inhale breath, come on up, switch the hands, and arc over opposite side. And stretch out that whole right hand line of the body. Inhale, come on up, uncross the legs, anything that needs a shake out, go for it. And come and find your mountain pose one last time. Check in. Notice the space between the eyebrows, and the space around the eyes, the space around the mouth, the jaw. See if there's anything that can let go a little there. And then only when you feel ready to take the feet a bit wider, maybe as wide as the mat, point the knees and toes out a bit, and then start to bend the knees. We'll come to squat pose. And check in here if there's a different version of squat that you'd like. Maybe you can make yourself a seat or support the heels. Hands can stay down or hands to prayer. Find that length in the spine here. Find space for the chest, softness if the shoulders are shrugging. The knees pressing to the arms to create some stability for the pelvis. And when you're ready for the transition, one hand then the other behind you, lower the bum down to the floor. And release the hips for a moment, maybe windshield wiper the knees side to side. Awesome. And then from your seat, we'll bring the left leg forward. So left shin roughly parallel to the top edge of the mat. Swing the right leg around, right shin parallel to the long edge of the mat. So setting up for deer pose here, if you have a tendency to lean a lot on that left hip, then bringing a prop underneath it might make the shape a little bit more comfortable. The legs don't have to stay kind of parallel to each other. You could bring one heel or both a little bit closer, and especially if there's pressure in the knees, that can help. Also, supporting the front knee can be helpful as well. So find your version of the shape and then see where you want to fold from. So you can fold more towards the knee, towards the shin, or more towards the ankle. And one might feel better, one might feel like a deeper stretch. So see whatever you're wanting, then take that. And I'll let you know when we're halfway through the shape, and if you want to shift and find something a little different for the second half, then you can go for it. So whenever you're ready, come and find your expression of the fold. And if the floor feels a little far away for you, then you have your blocks nearby, either for the elbows or maybe for the forehead. And we're halfway through the shape, so if you want to shift a little bit, then go for it. And also, if your body's letting you know that it's time to come out, then listen to it. And see if you need a little more time in the shape, and you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, as you feel ready with the support of your hands, lifting yourself up. If you had a prop underneath the left hip, you can remove that. And to transition to the second side, you can either come back to center, especially if the knees are a little sensitive, and then switch. Otherwise, bring your props with you, press the heels to the floor, lift the knees to center, kind of like a windshield wiper movement, and then make your way to the opposite end of the mat. This side may feel a little bit different, so anything that you need to support yourself, maybe something for the right hip, anything else at all, find the ankles that work best for you. And then see where you want to fold here. It may be completely different to the first side, or you may need different props to the first side. And then settling into your pain-free expression of the shape. And if you're shifting your shape, then feel free to do that when you're ready. you're ready, with the support of the hands, lifting yourself back up. And removing any props that you have around. And bringing your props with you. And press down through the feet, lift the knees, come back to the original side. And pause for a moment, and then we'll take it back to the back. And then go back and forth just a couple more times. Notice you're probably creeping forward off your mat. That's okay. One more each side. Awesome. And then you can swing the legs around. We'll lower down onto the back. I suggest having your hard blocks nearby. You can bring them down to the right. Lower down any way you like, quickly, slowly. Awesome. We're going to set up for a twist here. So if you want to do a traditional 2-knee stack twist, then go for it. Otherwise, I'll talk through a one-legged twist. So if you're coming with me, extend the right leg long, scoot the hips over towards the left, and then reach down with the right hand, guide the left knee across the body, and you might end up resting it on your props. If you want to add a twist further up the spine, you could think of taking the head to the right a little, maybe lowering gaze down to the left. You could think about extending the left arm up to the floor overhead, or maybe out to the side. See what feels best in your body. If the head is turned, you can bring that back to center. And slowly unravel the knees and the hips back to center. If you were using props, then you can take them down to the left so that they're ready for you. And if you're coming with me to the 1-knee twist, extend the left leg, hips to the right a few inches, and then guide that right knee across the body and over to the left. The side might feel a little different, so again, take a few breaths to set up. Maybe head to the left, gaze down to the right, right arm up or to the side or somewhere else. Let the body get heavy in the twist and follow your breath. And from your twist, bringing the gaze back and bringing the legs back to center. And see what feels good here. Maybe a little windshield wiper of the knees side to side. And you can keep that going, or you can collect the knees and the chest, maybe giving the hips a little rock here, maybe some circles. You could also take a knee in each hand, circle together independently. Whatever movement you have going, you can keep it going. Or if you're ready for happy baby, reach between the knees, catch hold of feet, ankles, or shins. You can bring the feet like they're standing on the ceiling. Mindful of the low back here, just make sure it feels adequately supported. And if the feet lifted and they lifted the low back up off the floor, then you might prioritize the low back staying grounded, even if the feet need to come down a little bit. And then see if you need a little more time here. See if there's any last quiet shape or movement that your body's craving. And when you feel ready to, you can release the legs, lower them to the floor, or extend the legs long down the mat. We'll set up for a rest pose, so for Shavasana. So you can choose any comfortable symmetrical expression with the body. Maybe the arms are somewhere by the side or on the body, maybe to the floor overhead. And feel free to include any props for your Shavasana, anything that would help you feel a little more steady, a little more comfortable. And if for any reason being on your back isn't working right now, then any other quiet expression, child's pose, seated meditation might be a good alternative. And just like with all the other shapes we take, if at any point your Shavasana shape stops working for you, please change it up. Otherwise, as you feel ready, let the body start to get heavy here as you settle yourself in for your rest. Only when you feel ready to. And slowly bring your attention back to this space, deepening the breath to reawaken the body. From wherever they are, bring one hand onto the heart space and the other hand on top. And deep inhale, feel the chest puff up. And sigh. And again, inhale. Last one. And then let some movement return. Roll the wrists, roll the ankles, rock the head, sway the hips. Maybe you want to collect the knees into the chest one last time and give yourself a hug and a squeeze. And maybe you'll roll down to one side for your transition, or if you like, a gentle rock and roll up the spine. And any way you like to get there, eventually we'll meet in a seated position, and you can pause along the way. Coming to find any comfortable seat using any of the props that you have around. And take a moment to settle the hips and to lengthen the spine, soften the shrug muscles, lengthen the back line of the neck. And pausing here, take that scan from the feet to the head and just check in. Without judgment, notice your headspace, the thought patterns. Notice the gentle flow of your breath. The hands can stay where they are. They might collect in front of the heart, maybe bowing chin in towards the chest. And thank you for sharing your breath and your energy. Namaste. My name is Nicholas, and thank you for joining me for practice. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy your day, your week. Have a great new year.